During the early development of Little Nightmares, Tarsier Studios explored a huge number of ideas. But because of disagreements, design changes, and technical limitations, many concepts never made it into the final game. Hi, I'm Pixel Mage. Before we get into this video, hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. Let's start with our favorite protagonist, Six. Six was originally brought to the Maw as a guest catering worker, and her job was literally to wash the visitors of the Maw. This concept appears in early artwork and clearly shows a reference to Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away. In the Gamescom 2016 demo, Six even had the ability to whistle to attract nearby characters, and some of those animations still exist in the game files. The mechanic was eventually removed, but a similar feature survived and was reused for mono in Little Nightmares 2. Moving on to the Gnomes. In the early Hunger trailer, the Gnomes didn't have cone hats at all. Instead, they wore cylindrical headgear that looked like a small barrel with two eye slits and a long nose. They strongly resembled the Metro Gnomes from the cancelled game The City of Metronome, a video I'll definitely make soon. Another early trailer showed Six having the chance to rescue a trapped gnome inside a tiny bank, implying that gnomes could be used to solve puzzles. This idea eventually appeared in The Hideaway, where the runaway kid rescues gnomes that later help him solve puzzles and power the furnace. There's also concept art showing 5 different children who were meant to appear in the series. In the end, only 2 of them were used, the runaway girl on the far left and the runaway kid in the center. The unused children included a curly-haired boy in prison-style clothing, a girl with long wavy hair wearing pajama-like clothes, and a messy boy with torn pants and an open fly. Portraits of these unused kids still appear in the residence and as colored portraits in Very Little Nightmares. The Janitor also had a much bigger role in early drafts. Early footage shows the Janitor appearing not just in the lair, but also in the kitchen and even the guest area. This idea was scrapped because the developers felt he appeared too often and overshadowed other enemies. Originally, he was also supposed to catch Six eating meat with her hands, instead of trapping her using the cage mechanism. Concept art reveals that the Janitor's sagging skin would have pulled back to expose his eye sockets, and a mask based on this design appears in the hospital in Little Nightmares 2. Another big change involves the Leeches. Early concepts show leeches with 2 legs, and unused animations exist of them standing upright, running, and even flipping. These animations were later removed for unknown reasons. The Maw also originally had 3 chefs instead of 2. The 3rd chef appears in early trailers for Hunger and even as a hidden portrait in the final game. Some concept art suggests that the guests were intended to die in far more gruesome ways instead of simply being drained by Six. A younger version of the guests was also planned, as revealed in a 2018 Edge magazine article. One of the most mysterious scrapped characters is the Wax Bellman. At Gamescom 2016, the Wax Bellman was shown watching guests through a 2-way mirror. A very similar mirror still exists in the guest area's bathroom, and breaking it reveals a hidden room with a single wooden chair, likely meant to be his observation spot. Although he never appears in the final game, the Wax Bellman shows up in paintings in Little Nightmares, in a box in Very Little Nightmares, and even as a costume in Little Nightmares 3. Another removed idea was the doll room, a creepy room shown in a 2018 concept where Six would encounter a doll with a distorted face sitting on a table. The concept was completely removed before release. And finally, before launch, many background portraits were added into the game's code and later deleted. Developers removed them for rating issues, tonal inconsistencies, or simply because they didn't fit the final vision. These portraits confirmed that anthropomorphic animals do not exist in the Little Nightmares universe, and the pig head seen in one of the newspapers was purely decorative. And that covers every major scrapped concept from the first Little Nightmares game. If you want more, I'll be doing the cancelled concepts from Little Nightmares 2 next, so stay tuned, and thanks so much for watching.